So one of my clients wants to break £20,000 a month revenue, and he presented to me the plan that he has for getting there. And he's done the same thing that once upon a time I did before I'd got my business to that point. And I also see, I'm going to say 99% of founders, but I'd argue probably 100% of founders do when we're trying to move towards something that we haven't done before. And it's massively overcomplicated what is required to actually get us to that point. The plan he presented to me involved YouTube videos. He wanted to do some LinkedIn content. He wanted to do some LinkedIn outreach. He wanted to drive all those people using lead magnets to an email funnel, get them on sales calls, close them on his coaching program, which he wanted to tier. So one-to-one clients to pay the most, a group program that costs a lot less, and then also some products and courses that people can buy and create and use in their own time. Now, all of those things you've probably heard of before because they're tactics and strategies that people use in this online sales, marketing, info kind of space, right? And I know a couple of people who do run their business in that way. They market on lots of different channels and they sell a few different things and they've successfully gotten their business to 20, 30K a month. In some cases, they've gotten their business way, way bigger, right? But for every person that has successfully managed to build a business like that, there are thousands, and I mean literally thousands, that couldn't do it. Because every time we add something in, we introduce a bunch of little problems that we're going to have to solve, right? So let's just take LinkedIn content, for example. Writing good LinkedIn content means I need to understand content strategy. I need to know what topics to actually write about. I need to understand my customer so I know what sort of language I need to use and what sort of stories need to put up in the post. I need to just generally be good at writing. I need to know how to tell stories. I need to know how to design graphics and images. I need to know how to create video content. I need to know how to write the hooks of posts. I need to know how to format posts. Those are all tiny things, but they start to add up, right? There is a lot that goes into mastering how to just write LinkedIn content that gets your client to see it and go, yeah, I want to work with this guy. That's not to mention all the other things that come with LinkedIn, right? Like optimizing the profile, building sales nav lists, running DM scripts, that sort of thing. When we try to do something as a part of our business, be it I'm going to use LinkedIn to sign clients or I'm going to deliver a one-to-one coaching program, whatever it is, we introduce a bunch of problems that we have to solve. And the more things we introduce, the more problems we start to have to solve. If he was to go down that route he had planned of doing all those different things, I mean, just YouTube, for example, YouTube is one of the most complex platforms. There's so much to learn in terms of the thumbnails and the hooks, and there's an infinite amount to learn because things are always changing, the algorithms update. The more things we introduce, the more likely we are to fail. It's not that we can't do 5 different things at once and make it work, but it's less likely that we are able to because we just have to solve more problems. It shifts the responsibility on me being some fucking genius that can, do things that other people can't do, as opposed to what I actually did personally to get my business 20K and then beyond. At that point, it looked like a LinkedIn post a day. It looked like about 50 reach outs a week, 25 to 50 reach outs a week, using both of those things to get people on sales calls. And then on those sales calls, selling a one-to-one program where I did 30 minutes coaching with them a week and everyone just basically went through the same program. Plus admin, right? Little things like managing my money and da-da-da. Those things alone are a lot to crack, are a lot to master. I've already explained the amount of things that go into content, but just building out a one-to-one program, building out a really good one-to-one program, it's this infinite task, right? It's you can always make it better. You can always refine it. You always get feedback from clients. There's always things to improve. I basically have to solve 4 problems. That's 3, not 4. I had to solve 4 problems, but each of those problems came with lots of little details that I had to tweak and work out. Now I did it and I got my business to that point and it gave me the foundation to then go start hiring a team and scale things up. But even when I got my business to 75K a month, we were still basically just doing the same thing. We wrote LinkedIn content, we did outreach, we got people on sales calls, and we closed them on the program. We just got better at doing those things so we could charge more money for the program, etc. We were able to book more calls. I got a team around me to help me do those things, but we basically only had to solve those 4 problems at once. It normally isn't as hard to do the things we want to do. We assume that things are going to be more complex than they are. And I was thinking about why do we make things more complicated than they need to be? And I think it's kind of twofold. First and foremost, I think as entrepreneurs, we look at these really famous people, these like Alex Hormozi's and Elon Musk's, and we have this association that to be an entrepreneur requires brilliance and genius and the ability to do things that other people can't do. And while to an extent, I think the last one is true, it does require that you do things that other people can't do. I don't think it requires you be that smart. I don't think building a successful business is about being that clever. I think building a successful business is about being able to adopt behaviors that a lot of people can't stick to. We can map out now. I just gave you the business that I ran that got me to 20K, but actually got me well past, and how simple it was. I know that. And yet every day I'll do the same thing that my client is doing, where I'll think of new things to add. I'll see a bit of content with someone who's like cracked lead gen, and they'll be talking about some lead magnet funnel that I want to introduce. Or I'll see someone else with like a special tiered offer model that looks amazing. And I slowly start to creep into my head that I should add in more things. And the thing that's hard about entrepreneurship, that the genius, I think, is the ability to look at something, have a very simple plan, and just fucking stick to the plan for the 3 to 6 months it requires without changing it, without adding stuff, without believing there needs to be more. That's actually the difficult bit. That's the bit that requires like a certain way of thinking or a degree of intelligence. But it doesn't require that I'm some fucking whiz kid that thinks up the next Amazon or the next Tesla or any of that stuff. It just requires a very, very simple plan and then the discipline to stick with that plan and continue taking the actions I know are going to work. If I just stick them out and I don't start adding in all this unnecessary stuff, it's just actually going to make it harder to get to the place I want to get to. So the message I want to leave you with is we don't actually need to have a complex plan to achieve the thing we want to achieve. 20K a month, 30K a month, 75 a month, something completely different. The requirement isn't a complex plan. The requirement is actually, can I have a very, very simple plan and stick to it? Most of the time, building a business is not about adding more stuff, in my experience. Most of the time, building a business is making something very simple and then resisting the urge to add things. And instead of doing 10 different things, it's just doing 3 or 4, but doing those things really fucking, really, really, really mastering those 3 or 4 elements that make up how I'm going to generate leads, how I'm going to close them, and how I'm going to deliver and do a good job for those people. I always prefer to lean away from complexity. I always see that as an indicator that I'm walking down the wrong path, and instead come back to doing a couple of things really, really fucking well.